The more I study history, the more things are uncovered, and some of the darkest chapters in human history. Follow our series, and I'm sure it will shock you of the things we tend to forget. One of those chapters unfolded not in ancient kingdoms or distant empires, but on the Pacific coast of the United States, during the rush for gold, land, and power. It's a story most Americans never hear, and yet its consequences still echo across California today. Before the gold rush of 1848, California was home to one of the most linguistically and culturally diverse regions in North America. Indigenous nations had lived on this land for thousands of years, developing complex trade networks, controlled burns that shaped the ecology, and cultural traditions deeply tied to the rivers, valleys, and mountains. It is estimated that more than 250,000 indigenous people lived across California before European settlement, but within one lifetime, that world was destroyed. Everything changed with the discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill. Tens of thousands of settlers poured into California searching for fortune, and to them, the native population was seen as an obstacle, an inconvenience standing between them and the dream of wealth. Newspapers of the time openly wrote that the Indian must be exterminated, and in 1851, the first governor of California, Peter Burnett, declared before the legislature that, quote, "A war of extermination will continue to be waged until the Indian race becomes extinct." This was not a metaphor. It was state policy. What followed was a systematic campaign of violence, kidnapping, and starvation. Militias were formed to hunt indigenous communities, and the state reimbursed them with public funds. Scalp bounties were paid out. Severed heads were used as proof of kills. Villages were ambushed at night, their food stores destroyed, their families torn apart. The killings were so common that settlers began submitting invoices to the state for ammunition, provisions, and manpower, knowing they would be reimbursed for every indigenous life taken. By 1852, more than $1 million had been paid out by the California government for these campaigns. Adjusted for modern currency, that is tens of millions of dollars, trained and funded for the purpose of erasing a people. Massacres scarred the land: the Sacramento River Massacre, the Bloody Island Massacre, the Bridge Gulch Massacre, the Indian Island Massacre. Entire communities disappeared from the census within decades. Those who survived the rifle often fell to starvation, disease, or slavery. Because another piece of this history is rarely spoken about: the kidnapping and enslavement of indigenous children. Under the ironically named Act for the Government and Protection of Indians, native children could be declared vagrant and seized by settlers. Women were sold as servants. Men were forced into